All right. Top of the morning, top of the evening, top of the night, whatever time zone you are on. We are live again. Hello, everybody. Let's remember this. If we can look up, we can get up. If we can get up, we can go up. With that being said, a moment of silence again for all those who have lost their lives. You see the title. This is no nonsense news. We're going to get right back into it. People were just coming in. I'm going to go to the music and we're going to get right back into where we left off at. Dijon. We left off on Dijon being murdered by cops and police telling us to take their word as the evidence instead of showing the evidence. And some things are just forensically impossible. Let's do the share on this. Let's get to this. Let's get to this. Allegations, speculations. No nonsense news tonight. Let's go. Hey, John. Yes, make you want to holler sometimes. The foolishness. But what we do is pursue justice. Now let's get right back off into that. Hey, John, to the people in the bushes, bypassers, onlookers, and the like, to the cantankerous people who need some B12 and the renewal in their mind, spirit, soul, and bodies. You too. To the people who cannot post in the chat that be watching from the bushes. You too. Um, no nonsense news. We're going to get right back off into this. We left off on Dijon. We just saw Louisville, Kentucky, 2018. A family, the police at the wrong house, doing a drug raid at the wrong house in Louisville, Kentucky, traumatizing an entire family. That's traumatic. As I was mentioning, before they got cantankerous with the sound, that's ridiculous. Like, how you don't know you at the wrong house? Like, what happened to private detectives? Like, how does that even happen?
Immune support sidekick. Airborne ready to drink shot. Comes in an easy to take liquid pouch.
Oh yeah, John, always. But back on that family, how does that even happen? Like with Breonna Taylor, and this is no nonsense news section. And for police and department heads in the police, and for attorney generals, and for city council boards, and for judges to sit up and allow that to happen, like it was not something erroneous going on. I mean, how does that happen like that? And they continue to just move along like we didn't do nothing. How, like, there's no wrongdoing here. We didn't make a mistake here. Not only have they failed to take accountability for being incompetent, not only do they fail to take accountability for making a mistake, it's when there's no admission that you made the mistake and they carry on without the accountability that gets people riled up. And then when people show up to protest, when people show up to stand their ground and fight back and resist the police, they act like they shocked and they can't understand why. Where it's been too many instances like this, it would be different if it only happened one time. But this has not been one time. It's been continuously happening. Then it gets into nonsense. And we're not with nonsense and foolishness.
You know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Because I'm happy. Clap along.
You stop Pharrell in the background real quick because he in the background singing happy. Go to this. Parental consent, again, is needed. Parental consent. John, you said right. The no-knock search warrant. Rand Paul was not the only one who wrote legislation to ban no-knock search warrants, by the way. But I do understand no-knock search warrants. Richard Nixon. For those who don't know, no-knock search warrants. Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, and George Bush. We have to go back through history and see where the foundation of that foolishness came from. What I call a three-headed monster. This is no nonsense news. Again, parental consent and viewers' discretion is advised. Graphic content will be shown. Parental consent and viewers' discretion is advised. And when I say, how does this continuously happen, John? You say, like, they make a mistake and they know they made a mistake, but they won't admit they made the mistake. Like, if there's some contrition or at least some remorse being shown with sincerity, people can understand that. But it's when they keep going, like, we've done nothing wrong and it's nothing to see here because we're above the law and we always make the right decisions and the appropriate decisions. And so we're just going to keep on moving. No, the suspension needs to happen. And after the suspension happens, they need to go see some psychiatrists and get some therapy. They need psychological help. And before you come back to the force, you need to undergo psychiatric evaluation for a period of time, as well as training, as well as be drug tested. Because I believe police should get drug tested on a dime. I want to know what's in their system. They want to know what's in everybody else's system. I want to know how many drugs and how much is in their system for some of this stuff that they're doing. What drugs are they using? Because all of this is just not adrenaline. Somebody owns something. And I would like to know what's in their system. I really would. I would like, police need to start getting drug tested. This is no nonsense news. This foolishness cannot continuously keep happening with no accountability, delayed justice. And then it's, oh, we made a mistake. There's nothing here to see. What? No body cams. Then they come out and say, we have body cam footage, but we won't release the body cam footage right away. What are you covering up then? Or we'll release an edited, altered, modified version of body cam footage without audio being enabled. What are you still covering up? You're hiding something. And then you come out and you smear everybody's character. You come out on a character assassination campaign. And the gullible people buy it all the time. Meanwhile, when you start going back through the history of the police officers, they just as corrupt as they want to be. Many of them are just as corrupt as they want to be. But meanwhile, you smeared, tarnished, and assassinated the deceased character or the victim's character at the behest of the police department. And people think that is okay. It is something wrong psychologically with America's psychology and philosophy. It is something wrong when people think murder by the hand of cops is a normacy, that's normal. It is something wrong with that. We can scream and holler about police on police genocide. That's an easy one. But it's the police on people genocide that gets to pass over here. Because the civilian on civilian gonna be charged like that right away, expediently. But it's the police on civilian genocide that never gets dealt with. And because this is no nonsense news, I would like to remind us, it has only been 12 days this year that police have not killed anyone. Rest of the days, people have been murdered by cops. Only 12 days out of this year, police didn't shoot anybody or kill anybody. Whether they shot them or whether they did it physically. Only 12 days. It is something wrong with that ideology and that paradigm in America. This is no nonsense news, and that is senseless. It is not normal. What happened is, over time, through television, through commercials, through people being nonchalant and cavalier about it, it begins to desensitize Americans. And people begin to think it's normal when it's not. And other nations look and say, you're so violent, America. What is going on? It is when people move away to other nations and live over there for a little while that's not violent like this nation is, they begin to understand it is something wrong. Very much so. America cops are at war with American citizens. Why? Why is that allowed? Oh, be logical. I talked about the Clinton crime bill in 1994. The bill, it was 94. The crime bill was 94. But before we talk about the crime bill over here, we like to go back to the three-headed monster. Because Richard Nixon started the war on drugs, right? Mass incarceration of African-American people, not only mass incarceration of African-American people, sending people to prison for being hooked on drugs, for having a medical issue or an addiction issue. He did that. Reagan followed suit right along with Bush. But it was Bush Sr. that allowed police officers in California to come with military equipment and arrest U.S. citizens due to an alleged war on drugs. He allowed that. That was under his watch. So I don't like to jump without going back through history, where the foundation came from, where it was established, who let that stuff even get started, that mess with those foolish laws that were passed and enacted over here against U.S. citizens. So no, the 94 crime bill is what I call a 3 strikes and you're out bill. 3 strikes and you're in. That's it. But it was Ronald Reagan who said, guess what? Under his watch, we're going to start making sure people get minimum sentencing. Minimum sentences now. Let's make sure they do some real time for drugs, for being hooked on drugs or having drugs in their possession or even selling drugs. We're not going to get them help. I'm going to continue on with Richard Nixon war on drugs. And again, America's psychology is jacked up. Overall, there is something wrong psychologically with America, philosophy and psychology that allowed that to fester and grow all these years. It is something wrong and diabolical about that. The drugs did not walk themselves into America. The US government allowed them in here, as well as certain presidents. So let's acknowledge the truth about that. And those are the facts. This is no nonsense news. Now, anybody can have an opinion. Anybody can say anything, but the facts don't lie. People do. Those are the facts. They allowed it. They allowed it. They allowed it. Drugs don't cross the border by themselves. Drugs don't grow themselves. Drugs don't produce themselves. So when Richard Nixon came out there with all that hypocrisy and said war on drugs, how? How? And they still fighting a war on drugs. How? The drugs didn't just fly from the sky and fly through the sky and fall from the clouds. That's not what happened. Hands were busy. That mess Ronald Reagan pulled with Nicaragua, allowing all them drugs to come over here. No. It is something wrong with the police officers over here. It is something wrong with America's psychology and ideology over here. It is something wrong when we become anesthetized to things that are not normal. This is not normal. For people to be getting killed, lives being cut short, never being able to fulfill their complete destinies, people dying prematurely. This is not normal. This shouldn't be considered normal. But if you anesthetize and desensitize people to the situation, well, then Americans are just go like, oh well, you know, we'll wait till the next big thing happen, and then people get worked all up again and they start flashing back. But a resolve. Where's the resolve? Where's the legislation? Where's the actions? And we can't blame everything on no cartel, because guess what? The cartels didn't allow the drugs to come over. The US government did, as well as presidents. You can't blame all that on no cartels. Absolutely not. Especially when we have customs. No. Everything wasn't smuggled in underneath the ground. Some of that stuff was flown in, shipped in, walked in, drove in, and every other in. Oh, and when you want to talk about minors be logical, that was Ronald Reagan too. I love it. I love the flashback through history. And then we're going to go to Dijon and the police officers having on no body cams and wanting us to take their word as the evidence. This is no nonsense news. I'm not that person. Some things are just forensically impossible. The police have come out and told some forensically impossible stories. The forensics don't match what their mouth said. Which is the same way I feel about the Kanika Jenkins case. For those who are Kanika Jenkins in the bushes and in the chat and live streaming, some things are just forensically impossible. It's a forensic impossibility. Biological evidence would never substantiate their claims, as well as digital evidence. But before we jump to the crime bill, we still got to go back to Ronald Reagan, because him and Nancy did that too. Just say no to drugs. The DARE campaign that they ran, they started allowing teens to go to prison for drugs. Reagan did that, him and Nancy. They did that. Snatching kids out of school, suspending them, and sending them straight from school to prison. The school to prison pipeline. That happened under Ronald Reagan and Nancy, per their laws that passed underneath them, before we can even jump to Bill Clinton. No, we got to walk back through history the right way, the factual way. This is no nonsense news. We don't get to skip around and skate around. You walk it up. You go up the stairs without skipping the steps. The foundation was laid from somebody else, and they built on it. And the next person came to build, and the next person came to build. And that foolishness should have been shut down a long time ago. A long, long time ago. The three-headed monster will forever be diabolical to me. Nixon, Reagan, and Bush Sr. Then you can jump into the Clinton administration. But before you even get there, you got to flash back. And they still at a war on drugs. The drug administration started under Richard Nixon. He did that. We still have it. The Drug Enforcement Agency, he did that. As a matter of fact, the Drug Enforcement Agency this year were out spying on protesters. Illegally violating their privacy rights. Again, let's get to the no-nonsense news. Dijon being murdered by cops, and the cops saying they don't have any body cam, wanting people to take their word as the evidence instead of presenting the evidence. Some things are just forensically impossible when you go back and you conduct a thorough investigation, a real investigation. The forensics don't match the police stories. Now, an alleged bicycle violation. And again, bicycle violations, bicycles, and moving vehicle violations are similar in California.
Kick on 9 has obtained 2 new videos tonight of the shooting of Dijon, a black man. They do not show the shooting, but they are important because, well, it captures the sound.
We heard 18 rounds of bullets fired in the videos, bullets that ended Kizzy's life. Tonight, the Sheriff's Department is also sharing new information they say lead up to the shooting. KCAL's Leslie Marin has our story.
Susie, Jeff, well, out here at the sheriff's station, you can see majority of the protesters have now left. There's only about a handful really left on the sidewalk, but there are plenty more sheriff's deputies in tactical gear. And you can see that they have placed this barrier that's protecting the sheriff's department here in South LA. All while tonight, new video gives us an idea of how many times deputies may have fired their guns. Tonight, new security video captures the sounds of LA County deputies killing 29-year-old.
That's more than one time. They lied.
We heard 18 shots. The woman whose camera recorded it all on her porch, distraught from the sight of it all. Across the street tonight, we obtained more video from another home, the same barrage of bullets.
And they shot 4 times initially where you knew the victim was gone. And then there were 11 more shots that persisted.
Ricardo Richmond lives at that home and says he saw the shooting.
You saw like it was like, hey man, like, why you touching me? Like, and then it was boom, 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 boom. No, they didn't try. It was no attempt at de-escalation.
The sheriff's department has yet to confirm how many shots were fired, but tonight, for the first time, the 2 deputies say they opened fire because Kizzy reached for a gun he dropped after running from them.
What they're doing is they're murdering people in our community. He didn't deserve to get slaughtered in the street like a dog.
Tonight, a group of protesters took to the streets, marching from the shooting scene on 109th Place to the South Los Angeles Sheriff's Station, where they were met by sheriff's deputies in tactical gear. Among the crowd was Kizzy's aunt, Fletcher Fair.
So I don't know why he was shooting. You got that angry that you want to kill somebody?
So sorry. During the protest, Congresswoman Maxine Waters met with Kizzy's aunt and had harsh criticism of the sheriff's department and its deputies.
Despite Black Lives Matter, they are shooting and killing as if to say they're going to show us that they're not going to stop.
Tonight, the deputies involved in the shooting have been pulled from patrol pending this investigation. Their names have yet to be released. Reporting in South LA, Leslie Marin, KCAL 9 News.
Okay, this is no nonsense news. So release the names. And by the way, I need to remind us, the police, the sheriffs did not have on any body cams. Therefore, there is no body cam footage. But they came out and said their word is the evidence. No, it's not. Absolutely not. No, you don't get to play that game. This is no nonsense news. We're not going for that foolishness. Not only are we not going for that foolishness, we want to see the forensics. We want the proofs. We want the evidence. So, their story made absolutely no sense. Every story I read from news outlet as it pertains to this police department has made absolutely no sense. None. See, it's situations like this where you give them time to get their story together and you coach them into lying, that becomes dangerous. Okay. So they said they started off chasing him or whatever on 110th Street. And they ended up on 109th Street. Okay. They stopped him for a bicycle violation. They never said what bicycle violation it was, allegedly. They alleged that he dropped his bicycle and started running. And he had his clothes. And allegedly within his clothes was a gun. So he's running with the clothes and the gun. He alleged, according to them, he's running from 110 to 109. Then he allegedly reaches for a gun, but before he reached for the gun, him and a police officer get into an altercation. Now, on Attorney Benjamin Crump's page, I did see the altercation, but I never saw him reach for a gun because he had dropped all his clothes by then and everything he had in his hand because he was consistently running. Now, when the police, from the other video footage, what it looks like, and I'll have to look at it again, from what it looks like, allegedly, and I'm going with allegedly tonight because I did not conduct any forensic analysis on that other video footage, nor did I look at it closely. But from a distance, you see the officers touch him first. You see him push the officer back, swing on the officer, turn back around, and continue to run. He's turning back around, getting ready to run again. And it was at that moment that you hear the shots ring out. So he had no time to dip down and get a gun. Because when he hit that ground, he had already been lit up with some bullets in his body. Period. Again, what violation led up to him being murdered? Nobody knows. They said it was a bicycle violation, allegedly, and didn't say which one it was. At no time was he pursuing the police. He was running away from them. They kept running towards him. And when they caught up with him and the police touched him, he pushed them off of him, swung, and then said he was out. No. Had dropped his clothes, had dropped whatever. I didn't see the gun. This is what the police said. They said it was a gun, but this is not the way they told their story. They told their story a little bit different from what's actually on the video footage that I've seen. Their story didn't match the video footage. Again, some things the police say are just forensically impossible. It's a forensic impossibility. That means you don't have any DNA that puts the victim anywhere doing anything. Not only do you not have the victim fingerprints on nothing, you had them planting guns and lying. But we'll see. We'll see if some more video footage surface. If. But the police didn't have on body cams either. So there's absolutely no way I'm taking their word without any evidence. None. And before people get all in a frenzy, it's a constitutional right to bear arms. You can bear arms in California. 18 and up. Again, I never saw the gentleman with a gun. They alleged he had a gun in his clothes. But they couldn't see the gun in the clothes. Not the way I saw him running. Let me show the other video. This is no nonsense news. Yeah, John, they always working on some foolishness. Yeah, through television, music, video programs, wide range of pharmaceuticals. Hey, Mac. Oh, Alan, I didn't see you step in. Let me speak. Let me mind my manners. Alan, John, I knew you was here. And Be Logical. Okay, Be Logical, you're saying, you right, John, fascist. Hey, Lee. Okay, Be Logical, you said if you drop a gun and try to pick it up, I say the police can shoot. My thoughts. Maybe he was fighting the police and the gun was in the direction he was running. No, the gun was not in the direction he was running. He had already dropped his clothes. Absolutely not. I did see that video footage. He had already dropped all his clothes. And the police alleged that the gun was in there with the clothes. And he had dropped all of that and he continued to run. So no, absolutely not. I put that in the impossibility category. No, according to the video, absolutely not. All of his items were already out his hand. His clothes that he had when he was riding his bicycle. And they alleged he had a gun. I have yet to see a gun. Again, last night, on the live stream last night, we heard police officers sit up and say, former police officers sit up and say, police officers will drop a gun and drugs on a dime to set somebody up. So over here on No Nonsense News, we don't just rock with no police story. We need to see it. What they say means nothing without the proof. Absolutely nothing. If you don't have the proof and the forensic to back up what you're saying, we're not believing nothing. This is No Nonsense News. Their word will not just be the evidence. If that's the case, anybody can get up there and say anything, and then you take their word as the evidence without having any concrete evidence. That ain't the way we roll over here. You better show us something. You better show us something that has not been tampered with, altered, modified, deleted, edited. You better show us something. Police can't just come out and say their word is the evidence. Oh, no, it's not. Absolutely not. because the police will lie. Police will lie. No. And so, no, the video footage, no, he had already dropped everything. No, absolutely not. He had already dropped all his clothes. All of them. So they cannot sit up there and tell that lie now because the video footage is out. By the way, they didn't have on any body cams. And the story that they told earlier don't match the video footage. Then they lied earlier and said they only shot one time. That was a lie. I heard a couple of shots in that video, just like everybody else, just like the people who were standing there watching, just like the people who was in their house that heard it. Absolutely not. No. No, you got to show us forensics over here. We're not rocking with nothing until we see some forensics and some evidence. Absolutely not. Their word will not be the evidence. No, sir. No, ma'am. That's a bad idea. Let me go back. Again, I keep going to Chaswick. Rest in peace. A jewel is gone. Attorney Crump has been retained by the family.
Hi, Glenn. And in light of that shooting that took place on Monday, the Kiz family now has a dream team of lawyers. More on them in a moment. But first of all, let's set the scene. We're right in front of the Hall of Justice on Spring Street. Sheriff's deputies have shut this street down right now for the weekly Black Lives Matter protest, which is scheduled to start right around 3 o'clock. They're just beginning even as we speak. This protest is expected to grow in numbers throughout the evening until 7 p.m. this evening when it's expected to be over. This has been a weekly occurrence, but this week, this sort of Black Lives Matter movement and protest has an even greater significance in the wake of the shooting death of Dijon Kizzee, which took place on Monday afternoon. Now, we have some surveillance video that's been obtained by KTLA News that we will show you. It is of a ring camera from a neighbor who witnessed the shooting take place Monday afternoon around 3:30. This is right off of 109th Street in South Los Angeles. According to investigators, deputies saw Dijon Kizzee, who is 29 years of age, from Lancaster, but frequented that South Los Angeles neighborhood quite often because his family lived there. They say that he was doing some sort of vehicle violation. He was on a bicycle at the time. A short pursuit ensued. As we understand, Kizzee got off of the bike, began running. There was an altercation with deputies where Kizzee actually punched a deputy in the face. At that time, he dropped a pile of clothes that he was holding, and that's when deputies say that they saw a handgun. They say that Kizzee reached for the handgun, and that is when they opened fire. As we understand, and from what we've seen on this surveillance video, Kizzee was shot as many as 12 times. Some people saying he was shot as many as 20 times. He was pronounced dead at the scene. In the days that have followed, there have been public outcry and public protests, and now the family has retained what they say is a dream team of civil rights lawyers, including Ben Crump. Ben Crump is also the attorney known from Tallahassee, Florida. He is currently representing the Blake family, Jacob Blake's family out of Wisconsin. And then you have Carl Douglas. Carl Douglas is a fixture here in Los Angeles. He was a member of the O.J. Simpson Dream Team. And also you have Dale Gallipo. Dale Gallipo is a civil rights activist and attorney out of Woodland Hills. These three together said that they will vigorously defend the family of Dijon all the way through in both criminal and civil cases.
Dijon Kizzee did not deserve to be executed like this in cold blood.
It calls out for there being sweeping reforms in the county of Los Angeles.
Based on the video alone, the shooting is obviously excessive. Remember, there's two parts to being excessive. whether they should have shot at all, and I would say under these circumstances, they should not have shot at all. But the second part is how many shots? They're responsible for every shot.
Tap dance on their heads for a little while then. This is no nonsense news. Let's go.
The deputies involved in the shooting have been placed on administrative leave, and at the time they were not wearing any sort of body cameras. Body cameras are not required as a part of the uniform.
Tap dance on their heads for some accountability.
We'll keep you updated, but right now that is the very latest from downtown Los Angeles.
I guess people forget about that.
I'll send it back to you.
When it comes to excessive force and police departments, how many times you shot the person? Thump their heads. Let's go. That's right. Thump their heads in justice. Thump their heads in law. Thump their heads in them lawsuits. Let's go. Now, let's roll with the facts. Period. In the video footage, and I'll play it again. As I mentioned earlier, Benjamin Crump got the a little longer clip on his where you see it running around and he loops it. It's kind of loop. And the neighbors gave him more because they were asking if you had anything, give it to the attorneys. So people complied and gave it to the attorneys, and then the news went and did whatever. Well, anyway, at the moment he's running around, he doesn't have any clothes in his hand. By the time the cops come up, catch up with him, he don't have no clothes in his hand. All he has in his hands is his fist in his hand and nothing else. And the cop touches him when you slow it down and you look at it, and he swing. He pushed the cop off, kind of brushed the cop off of him. Then he swing on the cop and he turn around and sees to carry on. Then he gets shot a couple of times. And they lied and said he was reaching for a gun. They didn't even know he had a gun in his clothes at that time that had fallen. Now that was a lie. Also, I would like to know what bicycle violation he was being pulled over for on a bicycle. California, y'all got some silly bicycle laws too. Riding against traffic and all of that, I understand. Riding with the flow of traffic and all that other stuff, I understand. But this other stuff, it makes absolutely no sense. But that's California law. Furthermore, Second Amendment rights. If he did have a gun, he had a right to do so, per the Constitution. Let's play the video again.
Hi, Glenn. And in light of that shooting that took place on Monday, the Kizzy family now has a dream team of lawyers. More on them in a moment. But first of all, let's set the scene. We're right in front of the Hall of Justice on Spring Street. Sheriff deputies have shut this street down right now for the weekly Black Lives Matter protest, which is scheduled to start right around 3 o'clock. They're just beginning even as we speak. This protest is expected to grow in numbers throughout the evening until 7 p.m. this evening, when it's expected to be over. This has been a weekly occurrence, but this week, this sort of Black Lives Matter movement and protest has an even greater significance in the wake of the shooting death of Dijon Kizzy, which took place on Monday afternoon. Now, we have some surveillance video that's been obtained by KTLA News that we will show you. It is of a camera from a neighbor who witnessed the shooting take place Monday afternoon around 3:30. This is right off of 109th
He's running up. He swings on an officer.
According to investigators, deputies saw Dijon
get in a little
Kizzy,
tussle. The officer touch him.
Of age, from Lancaster, but
brush him off,
that South
swing
Los
on
Angeles
him.
neighborhood quite
The
often.
officer still got him locked up.
They say that he was doing some sort of vehicle violation. He was on a bicycle at the time. A short pursuit ensued. As we understand, Kizzy got off of the bike, began running. There was an altercation with deputies.
Now, be logical. You said if he just would not have resisted. Let me tell you something, and let me be very clear about this, because this is no nonsense news. Philando Castro, did he resist? No, he didn't. He still ended up shot to death and murdered by cops. Mike Brown, hands up, don't shoot. Was he resisting? No, he still ended up dead, murdered, and shot by cops. And I can go on and on and on about those who did not resist. Stephen Clark, did he resist? No, he still got murdered and shot by cops in his grandparents' backyard, by the way. We can run stories. We can run a gamut on stories. where Black people were not resistant. And they still ended up dead by the hands of murderous cops. And they were fully compliant. Period. So, what you've just posted is a futile statement in terms of attempting to validate compliance to officers, attempting to allude that it works and the person will be alive. That's false. That's false. I can run a list of names of people who didn't resist and comply with the police officers, and they're dead. When the officer say, put your hands on steering wheel, their hands on the steering wheel, get license and registration, they get the license and registration, and they still get blown away to smithereens, never to speak, talk, or see their family members again on this side. So, a tale of compliance is a tale of lying. And again, I'm ready for these attorneys to tap dance on the evidence and to tap dance on their head. Simple. Some things the police say are just forensically impossible. That means they lied and it cannot be proven. The forensics don't match the story. The DNA don't match the story. The evidence that they tampered with don't match the story. So I'll wait. I'll wait. And again, when a cop consistently shoots over and over again, that's excessive. And then to lie and say he was reaching to the ground for a gun. No, you had already shot him. But the just comply theory, it's a lot of people that comply and they dead. Let me go back to Mr. Bell from Kentucky. Nope, from Kenosha, Wisconsin, 2004. Not only did the police murder him, they lied too, tampered with all type of evidence. The whole department heads, covering up from left to right. He's a Caucasian gentleman. He ended up dead. And what the police did and what they said was forensically impossible. When the DNA came back, he never touched a gun. He never had a gun. His hands were never where they said they were. They lied. So no, we're not going to take the police story. By the way, no body cams did the police have on them. None in California. We're going to wait for real forensics, untampered with, unedited, unaltered, unmodified. That's what we're waiting for. If they said it, prove it. And if they can't prove it, what they have presented is forensically impossible. That means the DNA, the evidence, and the digital forensics, which is evidence, don't match the stories. And that just comply don't always work, because you can just comply and end up dead. Oh, that's your perspective, but it's bogus. But goodbye. Alan, you said it seems like we're at a war. And John, I will concur with you. The hands have been stirred, and this administration has been stirring up. This president, he's been stirring a lot of mess. He's been stirring a lot of mess up with the things that fall from his mouth, with his actions and everything else. So yeah, he's been stirring some stuff up to cause a war. Americans against Americans. He's been doing it for the last almost 4 years since he's been president. But why? Why? Why are Americans warring with other Americans? Why? Why are African American people still a target after slavery and those slave laws they had on the books from state to state? Why? Why do police think it is okay to shoot anybody? The thing about South California is they murdered an 18-year-old Hispanic a couple of months ago. We showed that over here too. And they lied on him and said he had a gun. He was at work. A security officer at work had no gun. When the police showed up, he was on his job, started fleeing and running away from them in fear for his life, and they murdered him and lied and said he had a gun. Had no gun. Forensically impossible. The forensics did not match what the police said. Not only did he not have a gun, he was at work. They told all type of lies on him. He was a very handsome 18-year-old. He did. And so you think it won't be a turn up going on in these states right now? Yes, it is. It's never one incident. People don't look in their state when an incident occurs and say, oh, no, they're saying, listen, this has happened too much. This has happened systematically. Officers have not been dealt with like they should have. Police immunity, strip that away. Take that away. Take that out. That never should have been allowed, period. Period. Now the Senate need to pass that bill that strips away police immunity so the police can be held accountable and liable for their actions. Not only do they need to go to prison, but to allow the families to sue them directly. Hold them accountable if they're doing wrong. The entire departments. Because you get somebody boss covering for somebody covering for somebody covering for somebody. Oh, Jesus. This is no nonsense news tonight. Absolutely not. What we will not do over here, because it's nonsense, is take the police word without evidence. And forensics, biological forensics, digital forensics, to back up what they're saying. We won't do that. Also, this bogus mess of not having body cams on or releasing the body cam footage right away, need to do away with that. Because that just leads to people speculating and being extremely suspicious. Extremely suspicious. If you didn't release the body footage, the body cam footage, or the police cam footage, dash footage, why? Now you got everybody suspicious, wondering what's taking you so long. Have people wondering, what are you hiding? What are you getting ready to edit? What are you getting ready to reject? What are you getting ready to disable with the footage? What are you getting ready to do? What you getting ready to edit that you don't want people to hear or see? If you want to be a leader, and if you did it, you own it. Own it. Lisa, you said we're not losing, we just woke up. Nah, Mac. Yeah, it's been mass killings going on in America. It's been happening by the hands of police. Again, on these 12 days out of this year, have they not killed anyone? The rest of the days, somebody have died by the hands of cops. That's the issue. That's the problem. That's the problem. And again, before people go on a smear campaign, attempting to tarnish the victim's credibility, and paint them out to be a felon, a criminal, or whoever or whatever, I need you to remember the police got a pass too. And I also would like to know, since police have said it's a gang of police that's on the force in California, were these police officers part of a gang? It's time to strip them down and let us see the tattoos and stuff like that. Let us know if they got any tattoos that's associated with being a gang member on their body, on any parts of their body. Not only that, they need to get drug tested. Not only that, they need to take lie detector tests. The ones the FBI give, a series of them, at least 10. Not give it to them by their department either. Yeah, Barr has been blocking everything, but with Barr blocking everything in terms of justice, what the courts have been doing, though, is if you're bringing cases, they have not been dismissing these cases that the Department of Justice wants dismissed. They've not been doing that. They've been saying no, absolutely not. We're not getting ready to throw these cases out. We're going to hear. The cases will be tried and litigated in a court of law. Again, I await for more information to come out as it relates to Dijon, because to me, a bicycle violation is silly. It's nonsense. But I don't live in California. So but let me pull that up real quick. Let's look at the bicycle violations. Let me pull that up real quick. They bicycle laws are silly to me. Silly to me for a person to be dead over alleged bicycle violations. That doesn't make sense. Okay, let me pull this up. Let's go to their bicycle laws. Again, some things the police have been saying are forensically impossible. some evidence that they have been presenting have been tampered with and forensically impossible. And to the dirty district attorneys, to the dirty judges that assist these police officers, you are not helping the situation. You are not helping this situation at all. As well as the attorney generals who also like to assist. You're not helping nothing. It's making the situation, just adding fuel to the fire, really. What I know is another person, African-American person, another African-American person is dead, another US citizen is dead, another person is dead, and it makes absolutely no sense. No, you can't. Okay, here we go. Top 10 bicycle laws in California that every cyclist in California should know. Bicyclists must follow the vehicle code. As a general rule, adult bicyclists have the same duties and responsibilities as drivers. Thus, stop at a stop sign and red lights, just like other vehicles. Ride with the traffic. Ride in the same direction as traffic if traveling in the opposite direction of a one-way street. Walk your bicycle on the sidewalk. Ride on the right side of the road. It's California bicycle laws now. If you're riding as fast as traffic, you can ride in traffic if you can ride in the traffic lane. In most cases, you have to be moving slower than traffic. Then you must ride as close as practicable to the right-hand curve or the edge of the roadway. Several important exceptions to the rule are included in the vehicle code, which allows you to take the lane. These exceptions are overtaking and passing another bicyclist, preparing to take the left lane when reasonably necessary, avoid conditions that make it unsafe to continue to ride the right-hand curve or edge, such as pedestrians walking in the roadway. Use bicycle lanes. Yield to pedestrians. Stop at, not in, the crosswalk. So you got to stop at the crosswalk, not in the crosswalk. Ride with the lights and reflectors at night. They have to ride with lights and reflectors at night, but this happened in the daytime. Under 18, and he was over 18, you must wear a helmet. One ear not covered. That means when you have your headphones in or earbuds in, one ear has to be accessible and uncovered at all times. No tall bikes on roadways, no tall bikes on roadways. Have brakes that work on your bicycle. Okay, these are the bicycle laws. Now they said it was a vehicle infraction, bicycle. So it had to be one of these, but they never said which one it was. So that's interesting. That's very interesting. Hey, Dark and Lovely, how you doing? John, you said the police are the gangs, a legal gang. Well, John, I know you probably seen it. Again, hello, Dark and Lovely. Few weeks back, when I showed the executioner gang in California, which is a gang of police officers that are actually a literal gang. They move like a gang, they operate like a gang, and they own a police force. They all had the same tattoos. They tatted up, signifying that they are part of the same gang. So when I say the police, we need to know if these police associated with gangs or if they're in any type of gang. You know, we're serious. This is no nonsense news. When we say that, you know, we are extremely serious about that right there. Oh, I'm doing good, Dark and Lovely. Letha, you said as people we used to know help. Yeah. Yeah, Mac. Every city usually have police officers that move like a gang. And John said the police are the gang. They're a legal gang. Oh, yeah, Alan, I had to roar because this is no nonsense news. And so let's go to the modus operandus of what happens in media. Person get murdered by the police. People come out and protest. Okay, police, let me not even get to the protesters. People get murdered by the cops. It's excessive. Police then shot them execution style. The police either don't release the video footage, and when they do, it's tampered with. The media comes out, and then the media will come out again with the way they write the stories, and they'll throw a little dirt on a person's character. The victim that's dead, they can't speak for themselves. They'll come out and muddy the waters, help to muddy the waters. And the news usually don't show all, some news outlets usually don't show all of the video footage from everybody. And it's the terms that they use. Now, the police department, like I said, let's jump back over there. They'll withhold the evidence, tamper with evidence, twist the information. Some just come flat out and lie. Then when the video come out, they start changing their story. If you're telling the truth, you don't switch the story up. Then they'll trickle video footage out if it is available, but they'll trickle out edited versions with audio disabled so you can't hear what they said. And then they'll say the person was resistant. They should have just complied. Then when it come out, that don't even be the way it be. I think what people forget is the police just can't shoot you just because they want to shoot you. Some states do have stand your ground laws. You do have a right to defend yourself. I guess people forget about that portion. I guess people forget about U.S. citizens' rights. I guess people forget about that. Yeah. Yeah, Mac, you're right. Like what happened in the 80s in Miami. Half the force was working with a drug cartel. They're right there on the water. Dark and Love, you said, when is the foolishness going to stop? When we continue to put our weight on it and push the legislators to pass laws and hold the police departments accountable, as well as start stripping their guns away from their hands. When the police don't have guns in their hands anymore, then it'll stop. When we pass laws that say the police, you can't have your gun on you. Your gun got to be in your motor vehicle. When we pass laws that say if you approach a citizen with a gun, you terminate it, or you will get suspended without pay. When the police learn how to negotiate and de-escalate a situation like they're supposed to be doing, instead of inciting violence and being jumper cables and being some jumper cables, starting stuff, jumper cables, getting stuff going. When they learn to stop doing that, when we hold them accountable for doing that, our laws have to change. Our paradigm has to shift. The ideology and the psychology over here as it relates to police have to change. Then it'll change. Like I said, it's been allowed. And other nations look at us that are not violent like this and say this is not normal. Why we think it is normal. Only because we've been desensitized and anesthetized. Yeah, but again, that's what I wanted to show on Dijon. I am still waiting for more and more and more. Again, the police had no body cams. In Chicago, the police being shot at, people shooting at the police, and they're not releasing the body cam footage right away like they should be, except for when they think they're right. Other instances, they won't. And then they'll come out with an excuse. This is no nonsense news. We still waiting on Breonna Taylor. That happened to, yeah, we still waiting on that. So many cases. But what we don't see is the accountability coming from police departments. What we do see is bosses running out there defending their police departments. At that moment, you know it's not about human lives that they care for. It's about saving face. That's all they care for. It's about them saving face, not about the person that just got murdered and what really happened. It's about them saving face at that moment and their solidarity forever to a blue suit. Not solidarity to citizens protecting and serving their lives. It's about solidarity to their union in a blue suit. It's about their no-tell policy. Well, they want you to run and tell on everybody. They have their own no-tell. Their own codes. Like John mentioned earlier in the chat. A gang, a legalized gang. While we on No Nonsense News tonight, I'm still trying to figure out what happened to the police officer in Chicago who got promoted to the narcotics union, and then they ended up saying he murdered himself during this pandemic, during the protests. I'm still trying to figure out what happened with that. That had been on the force for over 30 years, and then all of a sudden, he committed suicide. We still watching that too. My eyes are not off all the cops they said committed suicide, because I don't believe that. I believe that some of them are being murdered. And before they get murdered, and some of them did commit suicide, but all of them are not committing suicide. But before they go, we need to know what they know. Let us know where all the bodies and the evidence are. Don't just, please leave us something. We need that information. We need to hold people accountable. We need to realize in America that no one is supposed to be above the law. No one. And if they was going to create the law and allow some to be above the law, then void it. Make the law null and void. And then that way everybody can just do whatever they want to do whatever they feel that come to their head, and we don't need no laws. If they're going to allow certain people to be above the law and not be held accountable, we then just let everybody do what they want to do. It goes back to the age-old question. Who was the law created for? The lawful or the lawless? Yeah, distrust of the police is a problem, but it's a reason why we distrust the police. If they would stop tampering with evidence and lying, maybe people would trust them. If they would stop tampering with evidence, lying, murdering people. Matter of fact, let me go here real quick. Since you said that, let me go here real quick. Now, this is going to be the pop-up for tonight. This is going to be the pop-up video for tonight. If police would stop lying, and the other alleged good cops would go ahead and arrest the rotten ones like they supposed to, it wouldn't be the distrust that it is. If they wouldn't lie, set people up, tamper with evidence, get covered up, kill people for no reason, then people wouldn't be distrusting them. Let me go here, since you said that, be logical. Let me go here. Forensically impossible. It's a flashback. No Nonsense News. Let me pull it up. It's a shame you have to watch your back all the way around. It's a shame. I don't want to do the long version of Forensically Impossible, and I'm going to drop this in the video link below once the video is done. Okay, I don't like the camera angle on that. The person is moving too much. It's almost like a motion sickness. Let me go to this one. Okay, yeah, I'll show this one. All right. So here we go. Let me do the share on this. All right, there we go. I will drop this video in the description below once the video is edited after the live is over. Forensically impossible. Let's go. This is why people don't trust the police. Too many cops over here have tampered with evidence. Too many cops have run drugs in here. Too many cops have set people up. Too many cops have killed people innocently. Police come out and oftentimes they have no contrition, no remorse. They set the precedent for the mistrust. And it was allowed because they got police unions. And then dumb America overall, no police immunity. Never should have been allowed, ever. That would have shut a lot of this stuff down a long time ago. If the police could be held accountable like they should. You strip away that immunity, I guarantee you some things will change. Let's go to the forensics impossibilities while we're talking about why people don't trust the cops. It's flashback, 2004. Kenosha, Wisconsin. Disclaimer, parental consent, viewer's discretion. Content is graphic.
In 2004, Michael Bell Jr. was shot and killed by the Kenosha police after a questionable traffic stop. Michael was hit and tased and struggled with 4 officers before he was shot in his own driveway, 10 feet from his mother and sister.
He in his own driveway.
Michael Bell died 3 hours later.
They on his property.
He was just 21 years old.
Forensically impossible. Let's go.
Michael was the third of 6 children in a close-knit family. He was the older brother that patched a skinned knee, the friend that used his paycheck to buy his best buddy a car.
Police was on his property without a warrant. Let me say it again. The police was on Mr. Bell's property without a warrant. And we wonder why people don't trust the cops. Then they lied and they tampered with the evidence. Forensically impossible. Let's go. It's a flashback.
And the son who treasured special times with his parents. And, like many young men, Michael also had some missteps, including a struggle with alcohol during times of loneliness and stress. But he was leading a full, happy life, starting his own business, and eager for the future. Michael's death left the Bell family numb with grief and shock, but their nightmare was just beginning. A rushed investigation, riddled with glaring contradictions, would leave them feeling hollow and angry. And they struggled to comprehend how everything unfolded so tragically on that awful night. It was November 9th, 2004. Michael Bell was parked in front of his house. Officer Eric Strausbaugh ordered Michael to take a breath test. even though the officer's dash cam had revealed no erratic driving. When Michael refused, things quickly escalated. And after being kicked and tased, Michael tried to run up the family driveway. During the struggle, Officer Eric Widener kept Michael's mother and sister at bay. Lieutenant David Kruger was holding Michael from behind in a bear hug. Officer Strasbaugh began screaming that Michael had taken the officer's gun. This led a fourth officer, Albert Gonzalez, to run up to Michael with his gun drawn, and at the command of Lieutenant Kruger, to shoot Michael in the
Execution
head.
style.
The Kenosha stated that Michael was shot because he posed a lethal threat to the four officers. But the evidence told a different story. No fingerprints or DNA from Michael Bell were found on the gun or holster.
And you wonder why people don't trust the cops? Be logical. Here it is. DNA results found that no evidentiary items I examined simply could not be attributed to Michael Bell's death. This is real forensics. Science. Science is provable and math is solvable. No nonsense news. Based on my years of forensic experience with touched items, I would like to point out that the lack of DNA from Michael Bell on a gun or holster does not mean he did not touch them, but they didn't have any DNA. Just as the finding of his DNA on those items would not mean that he did not touch them. The absence of evidence is not necessarily evidence of absence. The DNA results that I found on the evidentiary items I examined simply could not be attributed to Michael Bell. That means they didn't find his DNA on nothing. Period. The police lied and set some stuff up. Forensically impossible. That's why this is called forensically impossible. There are some things that are forensically impossible. That means there's no DNA, there's no digital evidence to substantiate the police claims. It's science. Science is solvable and math is provable. So they lied. They set this stuff up and we wonder why people don't trust the cops. This hasn't stopped. No nonsense news. Let it continue.
And according to 4 eyewitnesses, as shown in this recreation photo, Officer Gonzalez stood between Michael and Officer Strasbaugh, while Lieutenant Kruger held Michael from behind. This should have allowed Gonzalez to confirm that Michael did not have Strasbaugh's gun. But even though there was no forensic evidence that Michael Bell grabbed Strasbaugh's gun or holster, it appeared that someone or something had indeed come into violent contact with the weapon. So much so that the officer's holster had been yanked out of position from his hip to the front of his body, causing his terrified screams. But if Michael Bell didn't grab the gun, who or what did? 8 years later, a private investigation would reach a startling conclusion.
Brad, Tammy, this is an affidavit from a former Kenosha police detective. It includes his theory of what happened that night in November of 2004. He concludes a car part led to a fatal police shooting.
Michael was right here.
Michael Bell stands where his son died, in the driveway of the family's Kenosha home.
I kind of consider this kind of like a holy spot, you know? I mean, this is where your son lost his life, right here at this place.
But Bell isn't here to mourn. He's here to demonstrate what he and his private investigators believe happened in the moments leading to the death of Michael E. Bell.
I have no problem with the fact that the officer might have made a mistake. That is part of his line of duty.
Well, that alleged mistake revolves around the driver's side mirror. Fox 6 obtained an affidavit from retired Kenosha detective Russell Beckman. Beckman, who spent nearly 30 years with the Kenosha police, states any reasonably competent investigator committed to objectivity and the truth would have been able to determine Officer Strasbaugh's holstered handgun was caught and captured by the driver's side mirror. He states, the officers involved, and more than likely, the supervising and investigating police officials, chose not to tell the truth.
Pause. Incompetent. Forensically impossible. Not only as it relates to DNA, but as it relates to digital fingerprints and electronic evidence, forensically impossible. As it relates to video footage, electronics, some things are just forensically impossible to prove. That means you're lying. He just said they lied.
The report noted that the mirror had been at the very center of the struggle, leaving it broken and hanging by a cable. It also noted that the KPD virtually ignored the mirror in its findings. In November of 2004, the prospect of a very human but fatal error loomed over the Kenosha Police Department. But rather than leave no stone unturned, its investigation was concluded in less than 3 days. The district attorney said that Michael was shot because the officers believed they were in imminent danger of death and lethal force was necessary. Not addressed
be
was the lack
logical.
of
You say he struggled with the officer. That's where he messed up. Let me tell you something. The officer do not have a warrant for your arrest and they on your property. You got a right to stand your ground. You better learn the law. They on private property at that point without a warrant. You better learn the Constitution. Officers do not have a right to be on your private property without a warrant and search or seize nothing, not even your persons. Absolutely nothing. Real attorneys argue this and litigate this all the time. As a matter of fact, I got my information for some real attorneys. That's why we have attorneys come on the channel from time to time. No. They want to know, they was on his property at that time. You better get a warrant. You want me to take a breathalyzer? You want to search me? Go get a warrant. Go to the judge. Go whatever. Get your warrant. Then come back and serve me. Other than that, you don't get to search me. And would it say, get up off my property? You on private property now without a warrant. Get off this property. As a matter of fact, since this is no nonsense news, let me be real specific. Last year, when a female police officer attempted to come knock on this house door, saying she wanted to come in and talk, I said, no, you're not coming in. I'm not talking to you. You know you're on my property. I have nothing to say to you. You don't have a warrant, nothing else. I have nothing to say to you. No, I'm not opening up the door. Now you need to leave. Period. And you know what she had to do? Leave. You don't have no warrant. I don't have to say nothing to you. I don't even have to open up the door. You better have a warrant. When you hit private property, you better make sure your ducks are in a row. They was on his property at that time. Period. He didn't have to comply with nothing. Did they have a warrant? No. Simple. They don't have a right to just search you just because of a lie that they told. Because he was not driving recklessly. He wasn't driving recklessly. The video already showed that and proved that. They just lied. The police had a hair across their behind that day. Seems like almost every day they got a hair across their behind. This is no nonsense news. No, that's what we not doing. They own your property without a warrant. You go ahead and let them do whatever they want to do to you. Don't come to this one without a warrant, because you ain't gonna give them to do whatever you want to do over here. Not without some resistance. Period. I'll say it again. When a female police officer, I said, no, absolutely not. I'm not opening up the door for you. You don't have no warrant. I'm not saying nothing to get, what? No. Can I come in? No. Knocking on the door, talking about, can you come in? No. And I'm not trying to be funny. This is no nonsense news, because I have let certain police officers in before rehearsal. No. First of all, you were all wrong. It's late at night. It's real late at night. You coming all the way wrong. Absolutely not. No, you all the way wrong. You got this all the way twisted. Not only are you over here late, you don't have no warrant, nothing. And you want to know somebody else's information? No. She had to leave, period. So be logical? No, he was on his property. Did they have a warrant? Yes or no? Did they have a warrant? Yes or no? No, they didn't. Was he wanted for anything? True or false? Was he a felon? Yes or no? No. Was there a reasonable suspicion or probable cause to deem him as a suspected felon or one who was wanted? Yes or no? True or false? So no. Police show up on your property because we have privacy rights and there's privacy laws over here. They better have a warrant. You can't search and seize without a warrant unless you get the person's consent. That's the law. Federal law. Not without probable cause, you can't. And he had every right to say he was not taking a breathalyzer test. And no, he wasn't drunk. And he wasn't even driving crazy. They didn't even have a reason to pull him over. No. See, be logical. You're just saying comply, 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 and everything will be okay. That's a lie. That's a lie from the atmosphere. It's a lie. It is plenty people dead who comply from start to finish, didn't miss a beat, and they still got murdered. Also, you got some things that you need to go check out, which is called the law. Federal laws. No, this is no nonsense news. Come on your property with that foolishness. That's why officers get sued, as well as cities, as well as states. Again, that police officer that thought I was going to open up the door for her last year, had it twisted. And guess what? Like I said, she had to leave. No. The moment you approach this property without a warrant, it's the moment you mess up. Because I ain't got to say nothing to you, but get up off this property. Better go get a warrant. And I don't have to talk to you either. I have to ask none of your questions if I don't want to. I don't have to get my consent. You won't, when she step on your property at that moment? No, without probable cause? No.
Michael Bell's fingerprints or DNA. Mirror was not mentioned as a possible culprit. The investigation was concluded in less than 3 days. The district attorney said that Michael was shot because the officers believed they were in imminent danger of death and lethal force was necessary. Not addressed was the lack of Michael Bell's fingerprints or DNA on the weapon. The mirror was not mentioned as a possible culprit. The bullet that killed Michael Bell was not analyzed, and multiple witnesses had not been contacted for follow-up interviews. But the officers were awarded citations for meritorious service. The case was closed, but searing questions remained. The Bell family sued the city of Kenosha for the wrongful death of Michael Bell, citing a rush to judgment and a cover-up. The family contended that because Officer Gonzalez stood between Michael and Officer Strausbaugh, the police should have been able to confirm that Michael did not have Strausbaugh's gun. but instead, Lieutenant Kruger ordered Gonzalez to shoot, and he did. The Bells further contended that the KPD knew it had made a tragic mistake
They covered
and then
it up.
initiated a cover-up. The Kenosha police presented an entirely different story, stating that Officer Gonzalez was standing in front of the car. From there, he couldn't confirm whether or not Michael Bell had control of Strausbaugh's weapon, but he clearly heard Strausbaugh's terrified screams. The KPD added that Gonzalez purposely angled his weapon toward the windshield to avoid shooting the other officers. The Bell family and their attorneys responded with the evidence. First, that 4 civilian eyewitnesses said Gonzalez stood to Michael's right and between Michael and Strausbaugh. Second, that the autopsy showed that Michael had been shot on the right side of his head with an exit wound on the back left. Third, the blood on the car was on the hood, but not the windshield, consistent with Gonzalez firing from the right side of Michael, not the left. And fourth, that the shell casing ejected from the right side of Gonzalez's weapon was found in the grass and leaves on the right side of the car, also consistent with Gonzalez firing from Michael's right. The Kenosha officers were confronted with these discrepancies during their depositions.
Were you able to see the gun pressed against the head of Michael Bell?
Yes.
Would you please stand up in the position that you had Michael Bell at the time the shot was fired?
I was standing behind him and I had my arms around his upper shoulders.
All right. And again, Michael Bell was leaning in what posture at the time?
He was in front of me and he was more or less like this, leaning over.
And Officer, we'll strike that. What side of the head was Michael Bell shot in?
You a lie.
Left side.
Sit down.
And you could see that because Officer Gonzalez was to your left?
Yes, sir.
And you saw Officer Gonzalez with his gun out pointed towards Michael Bell's head?
Yes.
And you saw the muzzle of the gun placed against Michael Bell's head?
Yes.
And is this the first time that you've given any testimony under oath concerning this case?
Yes.
Is that the truth?
And you understand the significance of giving testimony under oath in all matters, including this one?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Because the lie is 5 years.
The autopsy finding, Roman numeral 1H, reads as follows. Trajectory of wound path through head, body in anatomic position.
Right to left.
Right to left.
Front to back.
Front to back, and slightly downwards. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, sir, you did.
All right. Is it still your testimony under oath that Officer Gonzalez was standing in front of the Nissan at the time he put a bullet into Michael Bell's head?
Yes, it is.
Is it still your testimony under oath that Officer Gonzalez's gun was pointing at the windshield at the time he put a bullet through Michael Bell's head?
Yes.
Is it still your testimony under oath that Officer Gonzalez had his gun pressed against the left side of Michael Bell's head when he shot him?
Yes.
And is it still your testimony that Officer Gonzalez was never on the right side of Michael Bell at the time he pulled the trigger?
That's correct.
Caught in a crucial contradiction, the KPD scrambled to reconcile its claim that Gonzalez stood on the left, while the forensic evidence showed that Michael Bell was shot on the right. 8 months later, in December of 2007, KPD presented its answer in the form of a reenactment video. Officers Widener, Kruger, Strausbaugh, and Gonzalez reenacted their actions for the cameras. According to the Kenosha Police Department, Michael Bell had now grabbed Officer Strausbaugh's gun while craning his neck to expose the right side of his head to Gonzalez's weapon. They claimed that this solved the riddle, placing Gonzalez on the left while shooting Michael on the right. But the video did not exonerate the officers. Instead, it had the opposite effect, illustrating that the physical evidence was inconsistent with the reenactment and further suggesting a cover-up. The video depicts Officer Gonzalez firing his weapon point blank into Michael Bell, with Lieutenant Kruger standing directly in the line of fire. This contradicted the KPD's earlier statements that Gonzalez angled his weapon toward the windshield, precisely to avoid shooting the other officers. The medical examiner observed that according to the video, Kruger would have been shot by the bullet passing through Michael Bell's head.
I was waiting for them to get to that.
With blood and brain tissue, neither of which occurred. The medical examiner further noted that according to the KPD video, the shell casing would have been thrown to the left of the car.
On the right.
But it was actually found on the right side of the car. With their defense in free fall, the Kenosha Police Department introduced a third version of the event and a second video to address one of the discrepancies, the location of the shell casing. The KPD now claimed that Officer Gonzalez held his gun sideways, gangster style, when he shot Michael Bell. They asserted that this would account for the shell casing being thrown to the right side of the car. But even this 11th hour change in story was rejected by the medical examiner. The autopsy showed that Michael Bell had sustained an imprint or muzzle stamp from the gun firing against his right temple. The examiner noted that in order for the muzzle stamp on Michael's head to match the KPD's version of the event, that is, with Gonzalez firing from the front and holding his weapon sideways, Michael Bell would have to have been in an exceedingly distorted position, held from behind with his head turned around 180 degrees and tilted upward. The medical examiner called this scenario forensically impossible. In 2010, the Bell family settled their civil.
This is real DNA. This is real forensics. This is how you conduct thorough investigations. Not this half-tailed mamsy-pamsy mess they be throwing up. Forensically impossible. Just like with Dijon and his positioning as it relates to the police officer and them alleging he was reaching for a gun and that's why they shot him. Forensically impossible. When you pull the video footage back and you look at it, wasn't possible. He had already been shot. Yeah, Letha, right is right and wrong is wrong. Be logical, you talking about the drug he had in his system? See, it's a reason why his family and attorneys got the #1 forensic pathologist in the world. I'd already dealt with that. You can go back a couple of videos and watch what they had to say because they dealt with all of the drugs in the system, as well as how DNA gets washed away, as well as other things as it pertains to forensics. You can go back and watch that. And Michael Bazin is not the #1 forensic pathologist internationally, globally, for no reason. He gave the cause of death. Behind that botched half-tail, because this is no nonsense news, mess that the first examiner did. And Michael is cold with it. Retrieved bodies from years later, extracting and examining the body with it. That's how cold he is with it. Him and Dr. Lee were two of the best in the world. Now, you think I'm gonna go with all this other stuff they trying to bring up after, trying to reiterate, because we already knew he had some stuff in his system, trying to reiterate after the fact, after the experts who've been doing this forever have spoken, and they can do this stuff in their sleep, and they do this stuff internationally, nation to nation. Yeah, forensically impossible. George Floyd should be alive too. Furthermore, let me circle back around to this as it relates to George Floyd. Were the $10s and the $20 fake, yes or no? Can anybody verify that he was the one that handed over those $10 and $20 bills that they alleged were fake? Was the person in the store, the employee in the store, does he print currency? Is he on that department that can validate and authenticate whether or not money is real or fake? Yes or no? Bottom line, in George Floyd case, he should still be alive. Derek got a pass. A fraud, his own self. Be logical, since you want to say that, and that's your name, Be Logical. Now let's really look at the hypocrisy of the situation. Him and his wife wanted in court, been in court for writing bad checks. That's writing checks that the derrieres could not cash. Not only that, not paying taxes. Not only that, lying on their taxes. Not only that, voters fraud. But he had the audacity to do what to who? Over some alleged, and we don't know if the money was fake or not, 20 or two $10 bills. We still don't know what the real currency is on that. And we don't know if the money was fake or not. Validation authenticated. Have the money even ever been out validated or authenticated from currency, from the currency department? No, it has not. And again, the #1 in the world said how he died. Period. Now, and as it relates to that case, he gonna make them look like some fools in the court too, just like this pathologist just did. Forensically impossible. Let me proceed, because this is no nonsense news. We don't do foolishness. We do forensics over here and facts. With proof.
Lawsuit against the city of Kenosha for nearly $2 million. But their victory was hollow, because questions of what really happened remain open. Also open is the possibility of criminal charges against Kenosha officials, including perjury, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice.
If I can't get this done, then nobody's going to be able to get this done, because I have the education and the resources and the commitment to get this done. So I recognize that there's a problem here, and I think...
After the settlement, Michael Bell Sr. poured his energy and his finances into changing the laws.
A man on a mission, his son was killed during a police stop. Now, one Kenosha father has changed Wisconsin law.
And Michael Bell is taking his message to the streets, literally.
The billboards, it's a large gun.
Raising a weapon.
A smoking gun.
And raising a question.
And it says, But when police kill, should they judge themselves?
For Michael Bell,
No,
the
they
answer
shouldn't.
is no. 6 years ago, his son was shot and killed by a Kenosha police officer. This year, the city awarded the Bell family nearly $2 million to settle a civil suit, and now they're doing everything they can to change Wisconsin law so outside agencies have to investigate officer-involved shootings.
We're not against law enforcement, but we're against a process that doesn't have checks and balances.
And Bell says he has received negative messages. Some, he says, are from police, but Bell says he won't stop talking about the issue until the law is changed.
He has not stopped. As a matter of fact, with the Kenosha shooting, he came out and spoke about that, the recent Kenosha shooting. He came out and spoke about that. Still trying to get laws passed in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Forensically impossible. We're going to run with the forensics. We ain't going to run with the foolishness. Now, be logical if you're still down there and you've been complying. That's your right to do so. That's your theory. We never did say don't comply. We never said that. But what we did say is people have complied and still ended up dead. What I'm saying is self-defense, period. Police won't start none, won't be none. They don't want it done, don't do it. Simple. You better have probable cause. And when they don't have probable cause, that's the issue. One of them. Always lying. Covering up. What we saying is stand up. That's what we said. Period. No nonsense news. We ain't doing that foolishness over here. The only one we revere over here is the Creator. Period. The one that we acknowledge and deem as the Creator for those of us who believe. Neither you can't pick sense out of nonsense. That's why this is called no nonsense news. You can't do it. It's just impossible. Mandatory drug tests. Right. So that's what we say over here, be logical. We're going to exercise our constitutional rights. Not to be searched and seized illegally as it pertains to our persons and property. And that includes your cell phone and electronics device. The police have to have a warrant. They cannot be eavesdropping on you. That's illegal too. And self-defense. We know you don't have probable cause, and we feel that our life is in imminent danger and there's an imminent threat. We're going to defend ourselves. We're not doing nothing to nobody, so we don't expect for you to do it to us. It goes back to the golden rules. I would that you would do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now, if the police would have that on their mind, that would also eliminate a lot of stuff if they followed that. You know, you don't want nobody shooting your kids down. Don't shoot nobody other kids down. You know, you don't want nobody shooting you in your head. Don't shoot nobody else in their head. It's different if the person was, if they are getting people who is actually murdering somebody. But my goodness, this is no nonsense news. Dylan Roof got to walk into church, murder African-American people and get it Burger King. And they ran and pursued him all night. All they had to do, because they knew he was a murderer, was shoot him. Did they shoot that car up? No. They let him slide around all night and half the day. Then gave him a doggone Burger King. We ain't playing over here. This is no nonsense news. Somebody got time for that foolishness. Absolutely not. You're not going to have one standard for, and then have another standard for another group. You're not going to have respected persons when you want to. And then on the other days, you got to hear your behind. It don't work that way. If you're going to be just and even killed, to be straight across the board. So, and we say it over here all the time. Be safe, everybody. You know, stay vigilant. But it's a shame that we have to have conversation for those of us who have kids with our kids. If they have any interaction with the cops, have to tell them, keep recording, do this, do that, do this, do that. If this ever happens, this, and this. The ones who took the oath of office to protect and serve U.S. citizens and the nation or their communities. It's a shame. And for people saying, well, it's some good officers. We never said every officer was rotten. But it seems to be more officers who don't have integrity and character than not. And that's a problem. Then like the good officers say, the ones that quit, they get harassed for walking in character and integrity. And Lethis, you said you're right. Know your rights. Right. Right. And you have to know the laws from state to state. That's why before I go protest in another state, when I go to other states to protest, I go through the law. I want to know what their laws are. You know, I want to know what their laws are in terms of protests or whatever. Then I usually like to have the ordinance, copy of the ordinance. You know, just to have something concrete. But what we are saying is this. We're not out here to attack the cops. We want the cops to stop attacking people. We want the cops to stop killing people. We want the cops to obey the law and comply. And stop all that lying. And framing people. Oh my goodness. But that was forensically impossible. Kenosha, he surfaced, you know, he's been out in Kenosha, Mr. Bell. It was his son, the Bell Jr., that was murdered by the cops. And when medical examiners and detectives and scientists and things like that said forensically impossible, they just lied all the way around. Lied under oath too. Sat up there and asked him several times. Crossed themselves up all types of ways. Sit there and lie. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. That video would definitely be in the description once the video was done. Now, we just have to stay vigilant. We have to stay involved. And we don't ever get in fear. Let me pause for a minute. We don't ever want to get to the place where we just start operating and doing things in fear, because fear is infectious. It'll work like a cancer going through the body in stage 4. Spread quickly. So we don't ever want to get in fear, start doing stuff. We do things from a position of love, justice, mercy, and truth, and standing for what's right, period. It's never about fear, ever. Now, having said that, I'm reading the chat. Right, who polices the police? All right. Now, having said that, let's go back into the music, because it's real. Speculation, situation, allegations on the news. Michael Jackson was such an activist and through his music, as was many from the older generation, Marvin Gaye, Teddy Pendergrass, Otis Redding, you know, such an activist. Messages that lives on and transcend the times. Let's go. We know the truth. Some people just don't want to see it. Wow. Still true. Gotta listen to these words. Right, Alan. Oh, good night, Be Logical. We on the same time zone. Come on with that. Things in life people just don't want to see. We can't let it be. Come on. Innocent on the news. Don't you wrong a right person. Let the evidence do it. Ah. These symbols is tripping me out. Yes.
I'm Hector.
Yes. Now, with that being said, you all have a pleasant evening and a pleasant night. It's 4 a.m. in the morning here too, past 4 a.m. in the morning. And I got on around after 1-ish. My time. I came on, then I came on again. This is my third time coming on. The sound had to be worked out. I worked it out. And again, no nonsense news. And Letha, I do know about the 8 was shot in the back in DC as well. I saw that earlier, so I do know about that. You all have a pleasant evening and a pleasant night. Remember to stay vigilant. We are still in a pandemic, so this is relevant. Make this a part of your everyday life, like your teeth are. Like you need your teeth, right? Or you need your eyes. For those of us who have eyes, teeth, fingers, mouths, make this right here, this mask, part of your everyday life. This is your currency. Make this part of your currency. As well as gloves, washing your hands, and other things like that. With that being said, no nonsense news. In spite of the hiccups, the hangups, of whatever, we keep it moving, we keep it pushing, we move forward. Remember to stay vigilant, wash your hands. We're still in the pandemic, wear your mask. Make sure you are doing what you need to do to take care of your health and to be as proactive as you can, as much as you can. And with that being said, I'll see you all later on today when we do the other section of No Nonsense News. Stay safe, everybody. Plenty much love.